Hey, what's up guys, Wavy Films here, and today I'm going to do another custom Lego minifigure tutorial, kind of. It's not really a tutorial, I guess, but I will be showing you guys the materials that I use, because I get questions asked a lot, or like, what paint do you use, what do you use to paint small details, and so I'm going to tell you guys in this video, and yes, I am copying the Moose Figs, because he did do a video like this a little while ago, and you know what, I need video ideas that when I don't have figures to showcase, so deal with it. So yeah, in this video I'll just be showing you different materials I use, and hopefully I don't forget anything. Actually, I already know I forgot something, so let me just grab it here. But yeah, let's get with it. So, most common question asked by any customizer really is, what do you use to paint small details? And I use this. This is a pin. I've used this specific pin for most to all of the customs I have made. Yeah, I just went to Dollarama, bought a pack of pins, and was like, yo, these work. I don't use toothpicks because I don't like toothpicks for small details. I do use them for more watery paints, like metallic and apple barrel paints, and I'll show you why when I get to paints. But yeah, I use these because I paint with folk art paint, which I'll get to in a second, but I can't use it with apple barrel or metallic paints, which is where this comes in handy. Like I said, I prefer to paint with that, but when I need to use a toothpick, I do. Yeah, I also use it for scratching off paint. If I paint a line too thick or something, I'll use this to scratch it off. And then I just have a nasty paper towel here, because that's what I use to wipe my paint off with. Moving on, for brushes, I also get asked, what brushes do you use? This is just random brush pack I picked up at Dollarama, and I use this one a lot. It's really small, and I don't actually paint details with brushes. Like, for example, this flash whip that I'll never get finished, all of the lines on it, gold, dark red, white, whatever they are, is all with a pen. None of it was with a brush. The only thing I use brushes for is washes, like this Batman figure, which I have yet to showcase. On him, he's got kind of a metallic sheen because I washed all the gray parts. I washed or dry brush? No, I washed all the gray parts in a silver to make it kind of metallic. Underneath that, I also did a black wash. On Superman, I did a black wash. And if you don't know what a wash is, maybe I'll do a tutorial on that someday. But yeah, I only use it for that. Or, for example, like Green Lantern here, you can see his entire torso is a metallic green. And I used a brush to just cover the torso in metallic green. So I use it for surfaces, like if I'm recoloring a hair or something, or for painting boots. That's all I use that for. A brush is just for large areas. I don't use it for any detail work. I have an X-Acto knife here, which I use to cut plastic parts, cut E-tape, which I'll get into next. It just works great if I need to cut paper or something. That's what I use. I use it to cut fabric and stuff too. And I guess also I use these are crappy ass safety scissors, but they still work for cutting. Oops. I don't want to knock my camera over, but for cutting. I keep knocking my camera. For cutting E-tape or paper stuff, or mostly fabric, I use scissors. E-tape. So I have two different kinds of E-tape. I have this roll, which is black, and this roll, which is blue. I also have red, yellow, and green, all in from this same pack. So it's the same type of E-tape. And E-tape is great. As you can see, my whole kind of work area here is covered in it. So I just put down some pieces of E-tape, cut off pieces. Pieces like this one I don't use anymore because it's all covered in paint and dried Procreate and stuff, but pieces like this one, that's still good to use. I think I just put that down too. So yeah. E-tape is great for 3D elements. This Whip Martian Manhunter has a bunch of E-tape layering on it, as you can see there. And I dropped the torso, but you get the point. It's great for layering 3D elements and stuff like that. So yeah. Next we have glue, Gorilla Glue. I don't really use this that much anymore. I mean, I do use it, but I kind of want to get a new super glue because it's starting to get old and like really gummy and stuff. It still works, and when it worked good, it worked really good. I glued a lot of stuff with this, so it's memories, you know. I've glued a lot of stuff. Also, one thing I didn't bring down, and I don't want to get it because it requires standing up and knocking over the camera, is Mod Podge. I bought it as a sealant, and speaking of which, I also forgot to grab out my sealant. But I bought Mod Podge as a sealant, and it just didn't work. I didn't like the finish that it did on the figures, but it works great for fabric glue, because this super glue doesn't really help glue fabric that good. But for example, Doctor Strange's cape, it was all glued. This whole back part was glued with Mod Podge. So I use, and this whole front part too was all glued with Mod Podge. So I use Mod Podge as a fabric glue. If I can reach over here, and I know I just pushed everything. Goddamn, I'm sorry that my video is so unorganized. This is the sealant that I do use, Liquitex Gloss Varnish. Don't use this too much anymore. I use it on hands when I paint fingerless gloves, just because paint tends to rub off on hands. I use it when I need a glossy finish to something. Yeah, I can't think of, a specific example is this Spider-Man figure. As you can see, he's pretty shiny compared to a normal Lego figure. Like, see him shine in the light, and then see him shine. It's pretty glossy, and that's what I like about it, and I covered the entire of this Iron Spider figure in it, just to give it detail. I use it on things that are going to scratch off paint easily, like for Spider-Man, the arms would scratch off easily, the head webbing would also scratch off pretty easily, so I used that on that, and it works great. I also have these pliers. I just use these to cut plastic when I need to. For example, I cut the stud off of this head, which I'm going to sculpt soon for Martian Manhunter. I use these, and I just cut them off. You know what, you can go, we don't need to talk about you anymore. So yeah, I use it for cutting plastic, which is basically it, because that's the only thing I really need to cut with these. Moving on, I'll just grab this from over here so I don't forget to talk about it. Sanding sticks. I don't use sandpaper, I use these sanding sticks. Sometimes I'll use a Dremel when it's needed. I used a Dremel on this bad boy when I need to sculpt the helmet. I Dremeled the hair off. I did the same with Thanos here. This was a Hulk figure, and I Dremeled the hair and then sanded it with this bad boy after. This is just for general sanding just sculpts and stuff. If there's just some unevenness, or if I need to sand down a piece, like for example, after I cut off the stud here, I sanded it down to make it a bit more even. I use a pencil eraser. This is to erase print. A lot of people use Brasso, which I do have, but I just can't stand the smell of it. It does, Brasso is like a liquid, and you just kind of put it on the figure torso and take a paper towel, rub it off, and that does work quicker than this, but I cannot stand the smell of that, so I have a giant bottle of Brasso that I just don't use anymore. And so I prefer to opt to use this, because honestly, I just prefer it. It does take a while to erase print, which is why a lot of my figures, I only erase print on one side. Like, for example, the Superman figure, because he has a cape, I didn't care to erase the Spider-Man printing on the other side. If a figure wears a cape, or if his back is obstructed in any way, I don't care to erase that print. Next, we'll move on to paint, which is one of the biggest questions. What paint do you use? Folk art is the main paint I use. It's most of the paint I have. Works great. It comes in only gloss. Actually, that's a lie. Some of the colors are. It's not as black and white as the apple barrel, where it's like you can either get gloss or matte apple barrel. There's like different kinds of folk art. Like you can see this symbol here. This got a different symbol than let me find one that's different. This one has got like a sticker on top. And then like this one's got like a different sticker on top, and they're confusing. I just like, hey, that's a color I need, and I buy it. That's basically what I go for. But yeah, they work great, and like I said, I'll show you with this. If I put a little bit of black paint from here onto the end of the pin, you will see, if it focuses, that the paint stays on the end of the pin. You can see that, right? Whereas Apple Barrel, this stuff is more liquidy, and I like it more for that reason. If I paint a surface with this black from Apple Barrel, it'll cover the entire surface. And it won't like leave like brush marks. Whereas this, I painted this Batman helmet with folk art, and I'm not sure if you can see it on video, but there's a bunch of like brush marks and stuff, and it's not like terrible, but it's just unfavorable. So I need to get gloss black from Apple Barrel. And if I put Apple Barrel on the end of the pin, one sec, well, let me just put a lot on for demonstratory purposes. You can see it, not really in this, but kind of like that. You can see it doesn't stay on the actual end of the pin, like the very end. It kind of goes back. I'm not sure. It has to do with the fact that it's more liquidy, but it doesn't stay on the end of the pin, so I can't get thin lines with Apple Barrel, which is why I opt to using toothpicks, because it's toothpick is more porous and it holds it into the end. So yeah, that's the difference between toothpicks and the pins. Procreate I use to sculpt. Just one part white mix, one part black mix them together, and sculpt. I don't have any work in progress sculpts right now that I can show you, but like all of that was sculpted with Procreate. All of the, like his chest, the bat symbol, the chest pads, the abs, the muscles, the shoulder pads, the knee pads, everything, Procreate. And Procreate's great. I sculpted this bad boy completely also out of Procreate, and it works great. I love it, and just sculpt with it, sand it down a bit, and it works fine. And last but not least, this is kind of optional, dummy Lego. It's just a bunch of Lego, like a little assembly that I built that I don't care if it gets paint on it. Obviously, you can tell. And it's just for like using for painting. So, for example, like I don't want to hold this and paint it because then I'm gonna get paint all over my fingers. So if I put the head on here and then paint it, then the torso gets paint all over it, and I'm fine. So it's good to have a couple of those if you have multiple whips in progress at once. Also good to have a Lego rod piece for arms. Do I have any detached arms? Yes, I do. So you can just put those on like that and then paint the arm. And it works fine. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you guys learned a little something. I'm gonna start cleaning up while I also outro. But I hope you guys learned a little something from this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're not. I post, weekly tutorials and showcases of my customs. There's gonna be a lot more tutorials more recently than showcases, just because if y'all don't know, I recently got a job. I'm working on multiple group figures, which means I'm not posting until I'm done the entire group. So that's going to take a while, obviously, for those figures to get finished. Yeah. I'm on my high school football team, and I'm practice every day besides weekends. So if y'all want to know, that's why. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to check out my social media down in the description where I post figures before I get to recording and uploading them on YouTube. And I guess that's about it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.